Hello, welcome to Loot Level Chat, the podcast from Loot Level Chill. I'm Mick Fraser, and I'm joined by Kieran Singh.
Hello.
And Lyle Pendle.
Well, hello there.
We've still got no Mr. Chambers. He's still in Toronto for another week. And then we're away next week, so we won't technically have a fresh pod. So no Steve until the week after that. I'm sorry. If the main reason you watch is for Steve Chambers,
fucking hell.
Yeah,
improve your life.
Yeah, I've commiserations, but also he's not here for a couple more weeks. So, but the three of us are here. We haven't got there's not many things to talk about because there's loads of stuff coming, but it's all under embargo. We've officially entered the silly season that we all knew was coming. Like we knew, we know that August, September, October this year are absolutely lousy with AAA and AA releases, and then there's absolutely fuck all in November for some reason. I can't imagine what it is that's stopping people from releasing games in November. There must be something.
Laziness.
Something big coming in November. But actually, it's funny because so speaking of what's coming in November. So did you see that they're doing a Grand Theft Auto's first gameplay reveal? It's a fucking Netflix event.
It's on Netflix, yeah.
I think this is God bless Rockstar. The audacity of this fucking company, man. They just don't give a shit. Like they're just like we're not showing you gameplay. We're not showing you we've already made like 800 million in pre-orders or something. It's like a $1.1 billion game, and they've made like 80% of it or 75% of it back in pre-orders alone. Like it's going to be, and they know. I'm even wondering what they're doing with reviews because who cares? Who cares?
They could pull the what's the point in sending out review stuff.
Yeah, they could because they don't like. In fact, reviews could probably do them more harm than good because if there happens to be negative reviews, that kind of puts a chink in the armor. Whereas right now they're like, we've sold like more copies than most games in their lifetime, and that's not even out yet. Like it's and you haven't even seen it yet.
And it's pre-orders for a digital product that you don't need to pre-order because it's not going to not be there. Yeah.
So you're not going to run out of it, so you don't need to pre-order it. It's going to be a digital code, and no one's seen a single frame of gameplay, and it's already sold more than like pretty much every other game. Yeah, it's mental how much money it's made, and it's just like I don't know, like God, yeah, it's. But I tell you what, though, we don't have these. You remember when games used to do stupid events? When it used to be silly stuff, like they'd buy like half a Times Square and put like adverts up on the side of buildings, or do you know what I mean?
Do you remember? I think it was Mercenaries 2. Do you remember Mercenaries?
Yeah.
They did it where they took over a petrol station in London and gave free fuel away, and it was all over the news because they caused like traffic jams all the way all the way through the town.
Just nonsense stuff. When
but they used to do
was
that.
Different.
Yeah.
I mean, you got all the stuff, the crazy stuff that like Acclaim used to do. Like, and what do you remember? Like there was a company that like offered people like money if they called their next child Turok.
Yes.
Like that was the thing, and I think there was a company that like tattooed their logo on the wings of birds and stuff. I can't remember I think it was an old Zero Punctuation video. I remember talked about all these things. I'm sure it was mostly like Acclaim, but they used to do crazy shit like this, and then now it's like we don't have that. No one has that audacity anymore. I mean, last year Diablo 4 did that thing in the desert where they were like, oh, there's a monolith, and everybody was just like, it's Diablo. Yeah, but it's like, but it's a pillar of skulls in the desert. It's a Diablo related thing. And then it was announced that it was just like the next expansion. Everybody went, okay, like
we were waiting for that. So thanks, I guess.
I'm glad you went to all that trouble, Keeley. That was well worth the effort. You know, just like fucking High Guard was. But then like. So I don't know. It's good anyway. So yeah, that's so. And so now we've entered, like I was saying before, went off on a tangent. We've entered silly season because we're in August, September, October this year, going to be insane before it quietens down in November. Grand Theft Auto 6 drops out of the sky like a comet. So we are talking about, so I've got one game to talk about, and it kind of is in theme because we're going to do a topic episode and we're going to talk about gaming comebacks because we've been talking about them. So we had a chat about remakes a little while ago, and this doesn't fall into the same category, but it's tangentially related. Like, okay, so this is like, we're going to talk about games that launched in rough condition and are now good. Like, they weren't good, now they're good. But excuse me, before we get to that, I'm going to talk about a little bit about Mortal Shell 2 because I have been playing that. The embargo would have lifted today at the time this goes live. So at the moment, at time of recording, I'm not that far through. I've played about 10 hours of Mortal Shell 2. And the reason it fits is because it's essentially, this is Mortal Shell 1, but properly. So it's like, it doesn't feel necessarily like a sequel, really. It's like it's got its own sort of story. It uses the same mechanics as the first Mortal Shell, but everything else is just way bigger. Like, it's just much bigger. It's a bigger, grander. They obviously made some money with Mortal Shell. I failed to remember the developer's name, but they've made some money with Mortal Shell. And they've put it into this, which is what you're supposed to do, right? That's the whole point. That's why you give people a chance. If they make a game and it doesn't like set the world on fire, Xbox, then you let them make another game sometimes, and that might do better. So this is what they've done. So Mortal Shell is, I'm going to have to look it up because I really want to do these guys the courtesy of remembering their name.
It is impossible to remember all the names, though.
It is, yeah.
I do understand it. Sometimes I can't remember the names of the games themselves I review. So, like,
yeah,
developer itself, that's more understandable. Mortal Shell, it's like, is it Souls-likey then? Mortal Shell?
Yeah, it's a Souls-like. So it's by Cold Symmetry. That's their name. So it was an indie Souls that released a couple of years ago, the first Mortal Shell, and I reviewed it, and I remember really liking it, and then it kind of just like it just ends. Like all of a sudden, and you could really tell that they were running out of steam. Like, as developers, you could feel it. Like, the opening, it was very front loaded. The opening area was massive. Everything was filled. I think there was only 3 or 4 shows. So the concept of this is the Mortal Shell is because you're not a spirit. I can't remember what they call you, but you're basically like an undead thing with no form. Like, you've got eyes and no features, and you're very weak, and you inhabit dead bodies of fallen warriors, which are your mortal shells, and then you take they're like your classes, and you take their powers on. So there's like a knight, and there's a thief, and so it's like that. And you have to find the shells, and what you'll do is you'll go into an area and you'll find something, and it'll give you a vision of where the shell is in that area, and then you can find the shell, and then you move on, you beat the boss, you go to the next area. But if I remember right, there are only like 4 or 5 bosses in the game. It was only about a 12-hour game, and the back end, sort of the final third of Mortal Shell, was very weak. Like, there wasn't a lot going on. The areas ran out of things for you to find. The enemies stopped being interesting. The final couple of bosses were really like just rolled over. So compared to like the first half, the second half, and I got the sense definitely that it was like they've run out of money and time, and do you know what I mean? But they didn't early access it. They released it, they put it out, and it was like, this is what we've made, and it was pretty good. Like, the combat was quite good. It was pretty straightforward Souls, but instead of like just a straightforward parry, you have this mechanic where you harden, so you'll just turn to stone. And so that will do the parry. And if you do it at the right time, you won't just parry, you'll knock the enemy back, or you'll turn the enemy to stone for a second and give you an opportunity to sort of get some free damage in. And it played really well. It was just very truncated. And it felt very indie Souls. But everybody knew there was something. It was one of those games, you know, those games where you like, it's only 10 or 12 hours, but you know, while you're playing it, this developer's got the source. They just need more backing. And it was one of those things where I was like, I really hope someone picks these guys up. Somebody like gives these guys some more money and some more backing. They get the opportunity to come back, and they have in Mortal Shell 2. So that's what I've been playing. It's balls hard. Like I play a lot of Souls likes. This is, in my opinion, maybe I'm getting old and I know my reflexes aren't what they used to be. This feels like one of the hardest I've played in quite some time. Like Lies of P and I guess Wukong, those were games that were built around just the bosses were hard and the exploration was easy. Like, and that's the way most Souls have gone. That's like Elden Ring is kind of like that. You worry about the bosses, but exploring the world is more or less a cakewalk. Stellar Blade to a lesser extent wasn't quite a Souls like, but it fit the mold for most ways. That this is not that. So everything just will kill you in seconds in this game. Like literally just like even little mob boss enemies where there's like, most enemies you meet will have like, there's some like skinny zombie dudes that go down easy in a couple of hits, but like within a couple of hours you're just running into enemies and they all have like a charge up move that does a grab of some sort, and the grab will just wipe you out. And it's like and it throws stuff like you'll get one big heavy guy and then you'll be fighting the big heavy guy, and that big heavy guy's got a ranged guy running around behind him that you've got to worry about constantly. And it's built like that. Everything like it's open world. And it's open world, so it's like it's very easy to run into an area you're not supposed to be in yet. It does that thing where you're like, oh, I'll just go this way because I keep dying that way. No, that way's harder.
Shit.
And it's and it's quite, and there are quite a lot of options. Like it lets you like explore. There's tons to find. There's secrets. There's things I found in the first area that I've just sort of kind of followed the story a little bit because I kept getting my ass kicked, and I've gone into the second area and like I know there's loads of stuff I missed in the first area, and I don't know how big it's going to be, but it looks fucking massive. There's like at least double the amount of shells to find, and it does this sort of mechanic where if the first time you die, like in any encounter, when you die you don't get killed, you get knocked out of the shell. And then you're the weaker version. And if you do enough damage, like you build your power back up and you can put your shell back on. And then you essentially get another life. It doesn't fucking help in this game. Like you just get mashed into the floor constantly. And I've found that the bosses are easier. Like the bosses that I've fought so far have been, because the parry's quite generous. So I've been like, oh, this isn't bad. When you're one-on-one with anything, even bosses, it's like I can pretty much handle most of the parries. It does a thing where it puts, quite often so far, the boss arenas have had like a pillar to hide behind. So like I've been able to like cheese it a little bit. But it's the little enemies and cliffs. I die to cliffs just constantly. But yeah, it feels a lot better, and it does feel like they've really gone all in on this one. Like I think it'll get tweaked to oblivion, like Lords, because it very much reminds me of Lords of the Fallen, the one from 2023 or 23 version.
Yeah,
it feels a lot like that. It plays like that. It looks like that. It's the same rough level of difficulty as that. I'd say it's pretty much on par with that, difficulty wise, although some of the bosses in Lords of the Fallen were fucking really tough, but the exploration was hard. But you had all these things. Eventually by the end of Lords of the Fallen you're overpowered and everything sort of just easy. I don't know whether this will get like that, but that's what it feels like. And again, that's a similar sort of thing, because that was very much, I mean, it was called Lords of the Fallen. They didn't even put a 2 on it, and it wasn't a remake of the Lords of the Fallen from City Interactive. It was just set in the same world, but that was Lords of the Fallen again, but properly. It's exactly the same level of like step up that was. Nice. But yeah, Mortal Shell 2 is really good. So if you want a really tough Souls-like, and it is tough, then I would highly recommend it.
I have a question about it. I have a question, because I've seen quite a lot of it on TikTok, and there's something I don't understand. What's with all the loots? Because
So-
I've seen so many clips of people with the loot, like playing
Yeah.
music, and then like is
So-
that part of it?
No, so it not really. There's areas in Mortal Shell. So you find a loot. So this game does these things, and the second game does the same thing. When you find an item, it's just question marks, right? You have to use it to learn about it, or you have to find more of them to learn about it. So one of the ways to do that in the first game was just, if you find a potion, just drink it. It might kill you, but then next time you find it, you'll know not to drink it, and it's a poison to throw at somebody or whatever. It's quite clever with these little.
Yeah, that's cool.
And one of the things that you found was a loot, and you carried it around for a bit, and then eventually you'll find areas where you can just sit and your character will just play the loot. And this game does the same. There's these little pillars, like collapsed pillars, that you'll find all over the place, and if you approach them, you can press the button and your character will just sit cross-legged on the pillar, and then if you've got the loot, you'll play the loot, and it plays a nice song, and you've got and it's always where there's a really cool vista of the landscape, and it's just like a weird thing that they did. Like, right. I like it doesn't really, in the first game, it serves no real gameplay benefit. It's just something you can do to chill out, I guess, when you're getting your ass kicked by the game. And I think it's the same in the second game. It doesn't, as far as I can tell, it doesn't actually do anything. It's just something that you have the option to do, and it's like downtime almost. People
seem to love it. The clips I've seen, people are using it in combat as well. Like
you can
not
use
as a weapon,
it,
but like taunting enemies and stuff. It looks cool.
It does. I don't remember the first game what it does. All I can remember in the first game is sitting and playing it. I haven't got it in the second game, so I don't know. But I know what it did in the first game, so I'm guessing what it will do in the second game. By the time I write the review, I should know, if I can get through it, because it is fucking really tough. It's quite, I think they'll do what they did with Lords of the Fallen, just keep tweaking. Because when Lords of the Fallen was pre-release, it was ridiculous. Like, some elements of it were ridiculous. Like, you could only revive at one particular shrine that you had to choose, and that could be like the one you just found or one from several areas ago. And there were very few like these of shrines to save at. The difficulty was massively overtuned, and it got patched like Crimson Desert. Like, in the first 2 or 3 weeks after launch, every time I turned the PC on, it was like Lords of the Fallen patch. And they weren't small patches, and they added like loads of new bonfire lanterns or whatever they're called. I can't remember in that game. It added loads of those, and it added like fast travel stuff, and it added more heals, and it dumbed the difficulty down slightly, and they did all this stuff. And then you got people going, well, it's not that hard, and you're thinking, same as I got with Crimson Desert.
You weren't there, man.
Yeah.
And
it's what we got with Crimson Desert for ages. I used to go on Facebook and people would be like, "Oh, these fucking reviewers are shit. They don't know what the fuck." And I'd be like, "You've no fucking idea what you're talking about. Like, you didn't play it beforehand. Like, it wasn't just a handful of reviewers found it too hard. Like, almost every reviewer in the Discord was like, this is stupid. Fix it." Like, so people don't know. But Lords of the Fallen was like that. So the Lords of the Fallen that you play now, with all the fancy updates that have been given to us for nothing, it wasn't that when we played it before. So I think they're going to do the same in Mortal Shell. But anyway, that's enough for that. I just wanted to give it a shout out, because we won't get a chance to talk about it next week, and then by the time we come back, we're going to be probably inundated with stuff.
I reckon.
But yeah, Mortal Shell 2, that's Cold Symmetry. That's the developer. I think it's coming to console. I'm playing it on PC. Oh, it's definitely coming to PlayStation 5. I'm not sure about the lesser consoles, but it's definitely coming to PlayStation 5.
Fucking hell. Whoa. Okay, leave the Switch alone, please. Thank you. Honestly. I need to defend a console.
I wasn't digging at the Switch.
Ah, thanks.
I only... I'm joking anyway. Oh, they're all bastards. Right, next on the list.
Let's talk about some comebacks, shall we?
Yeah, talk about some comebacks. Yes, let's talk about. So I've made a little list. I'm sure Kieran's probably written some down as well. But yeah, comeback. So we're talking about games that launched in a poor state and then are now, I believe, everything on here bar one in particular. Oh no, it's still playable. All still playable. All of these games you can still play. Some of them are still free to play. Most of these updates, nearly all of the updates these games had, were actually free. So most of these weren't paid. This is where the developer's gone, we fucked up. Here's some free stuff to make it better. And some of these have been around for 10 years or so. Some of them are a bit newer. But it's basically and most of the games on this list you could probably guess. Like the most obvious one is probably No Man's Sky. I think that's the one that anytime you mention a gaming comeback, that's the one that everybody is like, because let's be honest, like I remember when No Man's Sky launched and everybody was so hyped for that game. Like it was
fucking stupid, the hype.
Yeah.
The hype level was stupid to the point where you could see it coming how much the negative storm would shake that up. And it felt like that would be something that would completely destroy a game forever. That would have been my assumption in that situation. Everyone's really excited, everyone's disappointed, and like they're such massive amounts. But no, that is not what happened.
The thing is, it could easily have bombed. Like it could very easily have completely bombed. And I think what saved it in a way was that hype, because everybody wanted to believe in this game. Like Sean Murray is I find him a very sincere guy. Like, and I always felt he was when he was talking about No Man's Sky. I never felt like he was deliberately bullshit. I honestly felt like
he wasn't Molyneuxing us.
No, not quite. He wanted to do everything that he said he was, and he has at this point. They've done everything they said they were going to do. It's just taken 9 years now. But I never found him to be disingenuous. I always thought this is a guy who really wants to do this. And if you watch the old interviews with him, he was so excitable all the time when he talked about this game and what it was going to be. It's going to change the world. It's going to do this, that, and the other. And then when it came out, I think he had a type of charisma or maybe a type of innocence where people didn't want him to fail. Yeah, you know when fucking Randy Pitchford comes out and starts swinging his dick and everybody goes, Jesus Christ, and then Borderlands fails and everybody sort of goes, yeah. Do you know what I mean? And like they shouldn't, because it's not fair. And you know, I like Borderlands. I like Borderlands. I like all of them, but I'm picking that as an example because Randy Pitchford is a dickhead. And like when you've got somebody who's like that, it's quite easy to kind of cheer a little bit when the game fails or doesn't do well, and it's like, oh well, you shouldn't have been an arse. But then when you had someone like Sean Murray, everybody was like kind of behind him, and because he was really apologetic about it as well when it came out. He was like,
any of the bullshit, any of the like, no, it is good. Like,
no, you're just not playing it right. Yeah, you just don't get it. It was, look, we really tried. And I remember when that game came out, and I remember Adam reviewed it, and we were talking during the review process, and he was just like, he was so disappointed. Adam was so disappointed with that game. I think he only ended up scoring it like 7.5 or something at the time, and he was just like, this is so close to something. And it's so empty. Like it's just so empty. And I thought, I didn't believe him in a way. So when I got hold of it and started playing it, and then I was like, yeah, this is really there's nothing in this game. Like it was really, really barren. And I couldn't find a single, like I played it for about 30 or 40 hours at launch, and I couldn't find a single planet that didn't just look like shit, that wasn't just filled with plasticine aliens and bubble trees, toxic gas. Everything was dark red or dark blue or horrible green. And I was just like, this is a nightmare to play. Like I didn't enjoy it. And I left it. But then I played it when I first got the Steam Deck. So we're talking like 2 years-ish ago, and I installed it with all of the current updates, and I haven't played it since then. But at that point I was like, fucking hell, this is a completely different proposition now. Like you got these space stations and public spaces and the multiplayer's there, and there's proper ship combat, and there's like the planet, like the first planet I landed when I started a new game was a paradise world, and I was like, this place is gorgeous, and I like built a base, and And like within a couple of weeks of playing it, I had like a base with a teleporter, and I could teleport to a star base, so I could, do you know what I mean? And it was like, this is, and then now you look at it and it's like a fucking ecosystem of its own. It's got like a economy.
It's like a second life, isn't it? Like a second life in space at this point.
Yeah, it really
was empty
is.
when it launched.
To the point where like they're bringing that Light No Fires soon, and I'm always thinking to myself, I don't want it to take away from what you're doing with No Man's Sky. And I don't know, and again, that makes me think that what they're going to do with Light No Fires, because you would think that Hello Games had learnt so many lessons, that Light No Fires would
surely.
just, you'd expect it to launch as the most content-rich game ever. But I keep thinking to myself, are they going to do something similar and bank on the same goodwill?
It's called early access, because what No Man's Sky was early access, wasn't it? That's what it felt like when it came out. It's just it wasn't. It was a console release, and I do think that sort of screwed Sean Murray over a little bit, was how much Sony shipped out as like a big PlayStation exclusive. He was shopped out at like E3 and brought on stage, and it felt like it was maybe a bit too much of a spotlight for a game of that level at that point in time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and again, that's another reason I'd never felt like it was his fault, because he was very much at the mercy of Sony. Do you know what I mean? For a lot of it, and it's, nobody wants to be at the mercy of Sony when it comes to stuff like that, because your will is not your own. You know what I mean? It's like, get out there and sell it, and it's like, fuck,
I do have to. I can't not do it.
So like, but I don't know about Light No Fires. Light No Fires is probably going early access, I imagine. If they're clever, they'll do it early access.
You think so?
And then build on it. But that does look great. Like, I've watched a few gameplay things of that, and I'm quite looking forward to that. But yeah, No Man's Sky is really is worth playing now. Like, you could lose like hundreds of hours in it now. It's
on everything. It's on like every platform at this point.
Yeah, and it runs really well on everything.
Yeah.
Like it runs superbly on everything. Is it on Switch? Can I get it on Switch too? It's on Switch, wasn't it? I wonder if I can get it on my Switch too, take it away, because now I want to play it. Now I'm thinking about it. It's got like underwater stuff and everything in it now. It's like, yeah, No Man's Sky, brill. What else we got on the list? So similarly, Sea of Thieves kind of, and I know that wasn't as hyped as much, and this was like, but this was Xbox going like look at this, look what we've got. And I remember playing the alpha of that, or a beta, or I can't remember, but it was something that I did before. There's a video somewhere of it where a shark scared the shit out of me, but that was a game where you could literally just sort of, you got on a boat and you went to an island and you fought some skeletons, and you got back on the boat and you went to another island and there was some more skeletons, and then you were like, right, well, I've done skeletons, let's go fight. And then you went to another island and there was some more skeletons.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And it was,
and it was like, okay, is there anything else to do in this game except sail this ship and drink grog and fight skeletons? And at launch, no, there wasn't. There was nothing else to do. And I haven't played it since. So if anybody has, it'd be great if you could tell me how. But all I know is that it's very, very beloved now. But it took them a while to get there. Yeah,
I have an interesting relationship with Sea of Thieves, in that now you couldn't pay me to go back, but I'll be able to regale you with what was like good about it and how it did change before then. But yeah, I came onto playing Sea of Thieves like a couple of years into when it was out. Like, I definitely skipped like the first year, I think. So it was like, past the point of it being quite so nothing, but I still got a lot of going to islands and fighting skeletons. That was still a pretty big part of the game. You better believe you go between islands and you fight skeletons, but there'd be a few more things like solving riddles or finding treasure on a map and digging it up and stuff like that. But like, the more you played it and the more when you would go back to it, you'd get to see like that they had found all these little things that they could fit into the game that would, but like make sure that you got to do the good things a little bit more. So you'd like have more encounters in the ship. Because the best thing about Sea of Thieves is being on the ship, having ship combat, fighting, firing cannons at people, you know, all the nonsense. So when I first started, that was still a big thing, but you know, it was pretty basic. And then there was an update like 6 months in or something where they made it so that the mast could take damage and the capstan could take damage and all these different parts of the ship could break and you wouldn't be able to use them properly anymore. So it'd make that more exciting. And then as things evolved, there'd be more like different encounters you could find on the sea. So like there'd be like skeleton ships that had come up that would be like sort of NPC battles instead of real players, or there'd be megalodons that'd be, you know, you're fighting a massive shark that's circling you, and or a kraken comes out, and all these like big like landmark moments that would happen where you'd get to see like shit, like something big's happening. Like there were things that, especially the first couple of times they happened, you'd be like, holy shit. And a lot of them led to these really great moments of like, oh, I've just fought off these like really good players and just about escaped, and then tentacles rise out the water and I've run out of wood to repair the ship, and like you've got one person bailing the water constantly, so because like if they don't you're gonna sink, so only one person can fight to try and get away, and all these cool like different immersive moments that came from that, like all the things they added. And as time goes on, like they added story content and like all these missions, like there's like Pirates of the Caribbean and Monkey Island campaigns in Sea of Thieves now, I believe. And like, yeah, it is a game that captured a lot of attention, because I think basically just because people love pirates and because actually doing stuff on the boat was like really, really good. It probably is still the best being on a big pirate ship simulator game that exists. So the fact that they were able to, you know, add things at least a pace that kept people interested is awesome. Like, unfortunately, I played like 1,000 hours, and at that point there are still those things that were repetitive in the alpha that by sheer force of time you put into something, they're gonna get you, you know? So yeah, it is something that it was for me, it was lockdown while everyone else was Animal Crossing. Like for me, it was basically we had it where we weren't going outside for anything at all. So we woke up and like Sea of Thieves was pretty much a full-time job. Like we woke up, we clocked in, we played Sea of Thieves. And at that point it was, you know, it got a bit much, but it's, you know, we were able to play it for that long and get through a time because they'd certainly improved it since launch. And I'm sure there's loads of people still playing it now who will be able to tell you about things I can't even imagine because I've not been there in like 3 or 4 years at least. But even when I've dipped back in, it's been for like a couple of sessions, you know, not hours and hours.
I might get it, to be honest. It's on sale at the minute. I was eyeing it up last week because I've not played it. I never really played it when it came out. I played about 40 hours in the alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I loved about it was the fundamentals were so good. Like when I played it, you couldn't swim. There was no cannons. You literally, all you could do was get on the boat, navigate, and like ram into each other. But just doing that was so much fun. And like the stupid stuff that would happen from trying to have 4 people, maintain and navigate this boat was so much fun. But I really want to go back to it now. Like, I just want to see what else is there.
It would be really interesting to see what that was like for you, because like you couldn't be coming at it from more of a different time period, you know, with more of a gap where you have no idea. So yeah, that'd be interesting to hear for sure.
Cool. What do we know about? Do you know much about Breakpoint? Ghost Recon Breakpoint?
I do. I think Breakpoint was. It was a shame it came out the way it did, because Wildlands obviously just had its remastered version, which is, you know, it's good. It's a good game. It always was a good game.
Yeah, Wildlands was good. It was good at launch. Wildlands.
It was. Yeah, I think some people were less keen on it because it wasn't quite as tactical as some of the older. Is it Ghost Recon Advanced Warfare was the one?
It was before that. It was kind of somewhere between that and Far Cry. I always felt like it felt like a squad-based Far Cry, and I didn't play it with people much. I played it online a bit, but even if you didn't, like, because you could sync up with the AI, and you could do like you could control the squad around. It always felt to me very Far Cry, but with the Ghost Recon trappings. Because I reviewed Breakpoint about ages ago, and like I remember when it came out, I really wanted, I was ready to love it, like, because I like, you know, I'm a Ubisoft fan, really, like what they, well, you know, of their games, and I remember really liking Wildlands. So when Breakpoint was coming, I was super excited. And again, I think we got into like an alpha of that or something. And I was like, and it was really good. Like the alpha was great because it was like just a solid chunk of like, here's a mission, here's a mission, here's a mission. And it was just like, this is really good. It plays quite well. And then when it actually launched, the story wasn't great. Like some of the I mean, I think I made a joke in the review I wrote at the time because some of the voice lines were just awful. And it was just a very big sort of cash shop. It was when Ubisoft were going through their period of just like monetizing the shit out of everything, like to the nth degree. So it was like the period of here, buy level boosters in Assassin's Creed, do you know what I mean? Buy level boosters for Far Cry, and I remember Ghost Recon. Like you'd go to like a shop in the game, and it would be a real world storefront, and it would be like, this is too much, guys. Like, and it really upset people, really, and because the because the content at launch was kind of samey. If you'd played Wildlands, you knew what you were getting, so it didn't do an awful lot that was new, and then it you know really put people's backs up with the storefront, but. I've heard that they've changed a lot of stuff. They had to, really.
Yeah, I guess if Wildlands was Far Cry mixed with like a squad-based shooter, then Breakpoint was like the same thing, but with the Division, because it had the same sort of loot system. But then that meant you could have like this really powerful sniper rifle, shoot someone in the head, and they just wouldn't die. It's the same issue that Assassin's Creed had when Odyssey came out, and I hate that. I find it so like. It just ruins. It just takes me out of the game completely.
Funny you mentioned that because they did the same with Division as well. They went back and they tweaked the equipment system, the loot system, and the damage systems in Division as well. Because again, like you said, shooting someone in the head with a high-powered sniper rifle should kill them. Like that's why it's hard to get headshots. You shouldn't shrug that off. Like you shouldn't have a guy walking towards you. And I remember in the Division in particularly, they would do it so you were blowing their armor pieces off.
Oh yeah,
and that would be like the bars going down, and I guess that kind of made sense. But once you were down to like bare skin, I shouldn't have to put a clip into somebody for them to die. So yeah, I think Ubisoft had a problem with that. In like so there was something wrong with their teams, how they were designing these games for a while.
It's because it felt like they were all designing, and I know people still make this comment about Ubisoft, but I don't think it's true anymore. But at one point, it did feel like all their games were sort of homogenizing and becoming one thing. Like they all had the same alert system, that little sort of eclipse that appears, and they all had the same compass and everything, and it just felt like you're playing the same game in a different location. And Breakpoint was like that was the breaking point for that sort of era of Ubisoft for me. It was good one there, wasn't it?
Everybody was just sort of tired of their shit by then.
And it was but then they put in the immersive mode, which I think was really good, and to the point where I actually think at this point that game, I other than maybe the world of Wildlands is a lot more lively, but mechanically I think Breakpoint plays better. Because at launch as well, it's a squad-based shooter, but unless you were playing with 4 people, the game didn't give you AI.
You're
just playing by yourself, which again sort of takes away the whole point of Ghost Recon, is that you're sort of syncing up shots with your teammates and stuff.
Because you might as well play a Far Cry if you're going to play like a solo shooter with the same mechanics. You might as well go, because Far Cry, sort of pretty much every Far Cry is a good game. They haven't really produced it since maybe Far Cry 2 was the only one that was a bit naff. But yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know what Ubisoft are doing with stuff, because I didn't expect. I got Wildlands kind of came out of nowhere. And they're doing the same with Division, where they've just gone, oh, we've made content for this game that's 8 years old, but we're just gonna give it a 4K 60 FPS upgrade, drop some new content into it. And like, considering the Wildlands upgrade is just like, really some performance stuff, it holds up pretty well. Like I've been playing it on PS5 this week. Looks really good. Like I can't remember, I don't know exactly how old it is. I think it was like 2016, 2015, something like that. I don't know off the top of my head, but it plays and looks very good. Like the AI is atrociously bad. like it really is quite bad. but that was kind of a Ubisoft thing anyway in their shooters. But like that aside, the game itself is pretty good and it looks quite good. So I wonder if they'll do the same with Breakpoint. I wonder if Breakpoint will get a little renaissance, or whether.
Yeah, I have a feeling that got a current gen upgrade at some point, but it'd be nice if it had like like they did the works and added some content and sort of packaged it up like they did with Wildlands. Because that game is a lot better than it was at launch. With the immersive mode added all the stuff that you wanted. The loot system, or the colored lit loot system's gone, and it's back to just sort of equipping you and your squad, which again they've given you a squad with the stuff that you want, and then they've added in all the stealth stuff. You can like coat yourself in mud to be more sneaky, which I always really liked. But yeah, it feels like that is a good comeback, that game, and I would definitely like to see that get a proper update.
I've got it, so I mean, I won't. I haven't got time. But I think it's one of those games. I think if I had 48-hour day, I'd probably play it, but I don't. We don't, so I probably won't. What else should we have a chat about? So Destiny is a weird one, right? So the original Destiny that came out in 2014, right? There was a point recently, I don't know what it's like now, but there was a point recently, I don't think it's the same now because they've just done that whole Destiny's dying, so we've given you a load of free shit stuff. But about a year ago, there were more people playing Destiny 1 than playing Destiny 2. Despite the fact that Destiny 1 hasn't had any new content since Destiny 2 launched. And Destiny 2 launched so Destiny 1 only got a 3-year lifespan. That game launched in 2014, and then Destiny 2 launched in 2017 and eclipsed it completely. Like Bungie dropped the first game, moved straight onto the second game. Then the first game went free to play at some point in its lifespan. I think it was after Destiny 2 launched, Destiny 1 went free to play. And then they basically just left the servers running, so you could just go in. Never got any updates, never got anything new, but you could go in and just play it, and people gravitated back to Destiny 1. And the reason is this: because Destiny 1 at launch wasn't great. Like I've been in Destiny since day dot, literally. Like the first alpha I played, then the beta I played, then I reviewed the first game, and I reviewed every piece of DLC for the game, and then I moved straight into the second game. And the first game didn't get good until I think it was the Taken King. I want to say it was the Taken King expansion.
That's the one I always remember being named. Yeah,
that's the one that everyone talks about. So Destiny 1 had 2 major expansions that turned the game around both times. One was the Taken King, one was Rise of Iron. Taken King was the first because there was the Dark Below, which was a smaller update, and nobody really paid much attention to. It was all right if you were into it like I was. It was great to have the story. But then the Taken King came out, and it dropped so much content into it. It gave you whole new areas. It added so by the time Destiny 2 launched, Destiny 1 was full of stuff, full of activities, and the loot economy was pitch perfect. I played it over and over again, and you could just go into the random playlists and do was it prison? I can't remember what the prison was called now off the top of my head.
You shouldn't. It was fucking ages ago.
Prison of Elders. It was the Prison of Elders was the main thing I went into, and there was a big arena, and there was all this stuff in Destiny 1, and it was it was finally good. And then they announced Destiny 2, and then Destiny 2 lasted for 9 years. It's been 2017 Destiny 2.
That's what you said before.
So yeah, I think I want to say Destiny 2 launched in 2017, and now we're because it was they promised 10 years of Destiny, and they got more. They got nearly 12, really, which I still think is such a shame that it's sort of been dumped now in favor of fucking Marathon, which has got about 11 players on a good day. But yeah, Destiny was a great comeback, and because when it launched, everybody was, because I was so hyped. I played the alpha, I played the beta, and the alpha and the beta were pretty much the same thing, but like slightly refined each time. And then when the game launched, and I started playing it, and I got to the end of the story in like 18 hours, and then I was like, right, what's next? And it was like, well, you can go and do this repeatable mission and this repeatable mission and this repeatable mission, or you can do the Crucible, or you can fuck off. And it was like, okay. I was expecting more, and everybody was expecting more. Everybody was like, oh, you know, we've played this for 20 hours. Where's the rest of the game? Like, where's the rest of the story? Because it didn't end satisfyingly. It literally ended with somebody telling you there's more coming. Eat shit for now. And like, so you had to wait. And they did the same with Destiny 2, because Destiny 1, when Destiny 2 launched, Destiny 1 was fucking jam-packed with stuff to do, and then they stripped everything away for the Destiny 2 launch. Like, everything they took out of it, and it just launched with the campaign and some strikes and the PvP, and they did the same. And everybody was like, what the hell, Bungie? Like, we've just done this. You did this for 3 years. You finally gave us Taken King and Rise of Iron and gave us some really good content, and then you've just launched the second game, and you've done the same. And the second game was the same for like the first year until Forsaken launched in 2018, which when they killed like Cade 6 and like made the story stakes just went up through the roof, and it became like a real personal story. And like they added all this stuff to Destiny 2. And I mean, Destiny 2 was like this all the way for like the whole of its lifespan. But again, it launched with nothing, and it went up, and then it was just like they just kept adding stuff and taking stuff away like Bungie did. But yeah, another example of something that everybody was so hyped about. So I remember the hype for Destiny 1 was insane, because it was like no one had ever done this before. This is like it, like, and looter shooters weren't a thing.
Yeah,
like they weren't a thing. Really. Like a first person shooter was a first person shooter. It was a 10 or 12 hour campaign.
We had a bit of Borderlands, but we didn't have like the full on like setup of a big multiplayer.
Destiny, I guess, owes quite a lot to Borderlands, but then Borderlands was a similar situation. Borderlands is a game that launched and was kind of barren, like at launch, and it didn't even end. The ending was really, it was a massive letdown. I remember the end of Borderlands was such a letdown. You got into the vault, you did the boss, and then you got fuck all for your trouble. And it was like, why we just spent 40 hours getting here? To the point where when they did Borderlands 2, you get like, when you complete Borderlands 2, you get like a ridiculous shower of loot. Like it's like
just
it goes,
to make sure that you feel good about yourself.
It goes on for about 30 seconds of just chests to open and loot, and it fountains everywhere, and there's so much. And that's another example of that. Like that, you know, the Borderlands 1 never got the update, but they took, like, Borderlands 2 was Borderlands 1 again, but we've done more with it this time, which happens happens more than the comebacks, I think. You know, quite often a game launches and there's something to it, but it's not quite able to hit the heights that you want it to hit, and then they release the second one and it's like, no, this is what we were talking about.
That would be an easier category to come up with games for, probably.
Well, actually, there's another one that sort of fits that bill, because I think that's more or less what Battlefront 2 was. Like, I don't know how good Battlefront 2 in itself was at launch, but I know Battlefront was a massive disappointment for a lot of people.
And Battlefront 2, the issue was it was full of microtransactions. Like, everything in it was just riddled with there was just everything you had to pay for. I think eventually they took it all out. I'm sure they stripped out all of the monetization from it completely in the end, and what you were left with is actually a pretty good multiplayer game.
It pisses people off. People don't like microtransactions.
Yeah, sure.
Like we've learned now to the point where literally games launch and part of their sales pitch is no microtransactions.
Like it's a bullet point.
Yeah. They might as well say this game won't kick you in the nuts when you load it. Like shouldn't. That shouldn't be a thing. So it should, like, but yeah, because I never played Battlefront, because I already had Star Wars fatigue by then, and I'm still in Star Wars fatigue. The only Star Wars stuff I've played since, I liked Outlaws and I really liked Jedi Fallen Order. I played those a lot, but I don't really like the rest of the Star Wars like stuff. I don't really pursue any of it anymore. But and
Zero Company's what will turn it all around. Let me tell
well,
you.
Zero Company, it looks like XCOM, so I'm in.
So yeah,
it gets me in the door. Whether they can keep me in the room is the challenge for that. But yeah, I never played Battlefront, so I never played Battlefront 2, so I haven't got much frame of reference.
It's just a really good. I mean, it always was a good like Battlefield alternative, wasn't it? But Battlefront 2 is really, really good. Like it does the scale of the battles really well. It's got all the Star Wars crap in it that people love. I'm not really into Star Wars, but I know what everything is, and it does it well. I remember at launch, because one of the things you want to do in those games is you want to play as the characters that have got names, really, and then you want to play as Yoda and stuff.
That was the big issue on it. I remember that specifically.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like third trooper from the left.
Not for the entire game. You want to have a go. You want to have a go at playing one of the heroes or one of the villains. And I'm sure it was either really difficult because everyone was scrabbling to be the person that I think you found like coins or something on the floor that let you turn into them.
Yeah.
Or there was some sort of paywall that made it easier to do it. I can't remember.
I can't remember it. I can't remember if like there were like specific hero characters maybe, but you had to play as someone a bit shit and you couldn't be like Darth Vader or something.
Unless you paid. But it was, when they got rid of all that stuff, what you were left with was a really good Battlefield style game, but with heroes and villains in it. It was almost like they were playing their own meta game that was separate from everyone else. So you'd be off like flying the thing and shooting the robots, as you can tell, my Star Wars knowledge is not
the Star Wars robots. The Star Wars robots.
But then in the background, you'd see like Darth Vader fighting Yoda, and it was really cool. And there'd be like collateral damage. Like if you got too close, you'd get fucked up by them and stuff.
Yeah. Somewhere Chris White's chewed his fingers down to the bone at this point from just.
I reviewed a Star Wars DLC this year. I reviewed the Power One.
Yeah, you did.
Shoot lasers at robots. 9 out of 10. Yeah. And Luke Skywalker has a laser sword.
Yeah, all those things. I know. I know enough Star Wars.
Yeah. There's a bad guy called Dark Vader or something.
It's not like that.
Yeah,
good game. Now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Only got a few left on the list actually. So, what about so you suggested Pokemon Scarlet and Violet?
Yeah. So this is another one. So we've got a few different like categories, I feel like, for our comebacks. We've got started with nothing and nothing to do. There was a lot of those. Yeah. There was the Sea of Thieves and the No Man's Skies. We was full of microtransaction bullshit, and then it got rid of them, and that's nice. And Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was one of the third option, which is ran like absolute shit until it came to a console that was better, or just got lots of updates.
Did it actually get updates? Just out of curiosity, did it actually get updates, or is it just the fact that the Switch 2 brute forces it into running?
It got some updates that people said almost made it more playable than at the very start. Right. But when the Switch 2 came along, basically this was a game that was like performance issues out of the fucking arse. Like I am, I'm a very, very big Pokemon fan currently, especially. But like back then, this was the only Pokemon game I just didn't bother buying at launch because I just heard that everything about it was that, like, there's an area called Tag Tree Thicket, I believe, that literally I've never heard anyone call anything other than Lag Tree Thicket because it was just the place that the game slowed down to fucking slideshow. Spreadsheets are different thing. Slideshow levels where you're just like flickering images. And like I've watched a lot of people, a lot of YouTubers doing Pokemon stuff. And before the Switch 2 came out, that was still part of that time frame, and just like frame rates and watching them trying to explore this like massive, for the first time ever, massive open world in a Pokemon game where you can like sort of go anywhere from the start with a few exceptions. And if doing that is just like gives you a fucking migraine and makes you feel sick because the performance is just absolute arse, then like what the fuck is the point in it? And yeah, it did terribly because of that. And all I ever heard was the people who forced their way through it saying like, God, this is a really good Pokemon game though. This sucks. And then the Switch 2. And it is, yeah, it's really good. And then the Switch 2 came along, and now everything is super fucking smooth and super easy, and it is fantastic. It's like every single one of those performance problems just was fixed because you're on a more powerful console and they did a patch for it. And now, like, every time you see it being played on a YouTube video or in your own fucking hands, it just feels like a lovely, modern, sorted out game that works. And those moments from the past had gone where it was just miserable for everyone.
It was the windmill for me. The windmill was the bit that I always remember because I played it at launch, and I'm pretty forgiving when it comes to technical performance on the Switch, because it's sort of like you're playing on a handheld, and I will happily, like, especially with third-party games, I'll overlook worse performance because I've got the convenience of playing it on Switch.
Yeah,
but you would walk away from the windmill in the first like town, and I think sort of like every sort of 5 seconds, the further you walked away from it, the frame rate would drop to the point where it was moving at like 4 frames per second or something. It was literally, it was like a slideshow. You'd see it just sort of, it would only be up, left, right, or down. There was no sort of animation to it whatsoever.
It couldn't be anywhere else.
Yeah, it was so bad, and it did make you wonder. Like, this is Pokemon, like the biggest media like franchise in the entire world, and this is what they're putting out, and it was disappointing.
For sure. I think for a while that seemed like it was going to be a thing that kind of was a bit of a blow to Pokemon, really. And I think the fact that they like have had a really good run of that being updated, Pokemon Legends, Pokopia, stuff like that has very much made people be like, good Pokemon games again. And like it was like that was one of the very big sticks that people beat Pokemon with for a long time, was that the most modern, and beat Nintendo with even, like, it was a big thing that was like, fucking hell, this is unacceptable. And it's not now, because it's a comeback. Yeah. Good job, Switch 2. Thanks for the power boost.
No matter how bad stuff is, there's always someone who's like, it's really good, actually. Like you're wrong, it's really good. It's 4 frames per second. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like, don't be such a performance whore. Just play the game. Like, you always get them. But like, so speaking of which, Cyberpunk 2077, right?
Yeah.
So my experience of Cyberpunk 2077 at launch, I can't remember, because they overhauled everything when Phantom Liberty came out. They overhauled like the cybernetics and the weapon systems and the loot systems and some of the economy, and it had already had like a bajillion updates between launch and Phantom Liberty. And now like this is one of my favorite games, Cyberpunk 2077. Like, I can just put it on at any point and play 10 hours of it and not be bored. I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I loved it at launch. And I reviewed it on PC, and I reviewed it, I think it was right when I think that my PC was quite new at the time. And I had none of the issues that everyone had. Like, since then, I've got it on PS5 as well, and I've played it on, like, I play it more on PS5 than I do on PC now, because I prefer it. But at launch, I had almost none of the issues people were having. So I was like playing, and I didn't go in any, like, I wasn't in any like Discords or anything like that. I just played it, and I gave it a 10 because I thought it was amazing. And I'd had a few minor things, like there was a couple of instances where like I had a gun spinning, and I think it crashed on me once, and there was a weird bit where like I got out of a car and it kind of did something weird. Like I'd look down at my legs and my trousers would be like elastic, like, I don't know, like Mr. Fantastic's legs would, like, it was weird. I did some weird stuff, but like I had those very rarely. And I got to the point where I reviewed it and I gave it a 10 because I absolutely adored it. And I got such abuse. Like, I got abuse from so many people. Like, oh, you're a shill. This. Bear in mind, there were content creators that had been given like free £300 chairs and shit. Like, there was a massive controversy about this. There were YouTubers and content creators that had gone to the event the preview event, and had literally come away with a 350 quid like gamer's chair and a massive bag full of swag and the jacket, like the Cyberpunk like sleeveless. Like people had been given it, like they like CD Projekt Red, whatever. They gave people a lot of fucking swag around this game, right? I didn't get a single piece of swag. I didn't get anything.
But you got all the abuse, right? Don't you worry.
But I got all the shit from at the time, our fairly small YouTube channel. I think we had about 10,000 subscribers at the time. And I got everybody was just, fucking giving it a 10, shill this, shill that, paid for this, paid for. And it was like, genuinely, guys, like I just got lucky, I think, with like I just didn't see. And I saw videos afterwards of people sharing stuff like guy got out the car and his character had just catapulted across the city. And there was stuff like the cars would levitate, or like people would disappear and reappear in places. And like it was really bad. And I think a lot of the reason I didn't get the issue was because I had a new PC. And it was like, my PC's not top end. Like it plays everything pretty much on ultra, just about. But at the time, it wasn't. Like I didn't have the graphics card I've got now. So I didn't put ray tracing on. I had dialed down like I wasn't reviewing it. And like some reviewers whack everything up to ultra because their PC can handle it. And it causes these issues. And I think because I just played it on like high settings, I didn't have motion blur on, I didn't have ray tracing on, I didn't have all these fancy like bells and whistles, and I just got lucky with it. But then like it did, I know it launched in a fractured state because I've seen videos. Like I'm not denying that it happened, I just got lucky. But that had like between like that game and now, between that launch and I don't know, that launch was a long time ago now. Was it like 5 years? 2020, December 2020 that launched, which seems mad with how fucking hyped I was for that game. But that's had like massive updates. And like now, I mean, I don't know what people's opinion of it is anymore. I know CD Projekt Red are still highly regarded. Like everybody's like if they announced.
I kind of think really it's about as good a comeback as it got, because it went from literally everyone kicked this game as hard as they could for how like fucked it was at launch for so many of them, to like it's one of those games that people say is like an all-time great game, one of their favorites. And like that, there's not really much of a bigger turnaround than like people who would like give it a 1 out of 10 as like a fucking hate review to now would give it a 10, you know? And like that, you don't even hear any semblance of that rumbling of the original stuff. And it's not like it was fucking long ago. It's not like this was like 20 years ago and people turned around on it. It was like, took a couple of years of them sorting out the shit and adding the new content. And then like, people immediately were like, oh no, this is amazing.
Yeah,
it was really bad. I had to refund it because it was unplayable. Like I played it on the not Series X.
I know console versions were almost like,
really bad.
Yeah, really, really bad.
Didn't they pull the
PlayStation?
The previous gen version. I'm sure I played it on Xbox One X at first.
They definitely cancelled the PS4 launch.
That was it, yeah.
And I know they had a massive amount of refunds for the PS5, and probably Steam, I guess, as well.
Yeah, because Sony don't normally let you do refunds, do they? But they had to for that because it was that fucked. I remember I had a clip of me playing it, and I was driving around the city in a car in first person, and the game froze for a full 15 seconds before it would let me continue, and that was happening multiple times, like at least once a PlayStation. It was unacceptably bad performance. Like again, normally I'm not too precious about this stuff.
Yeah, I don't tend to be. But yeah, I just got lucky. Like I because even afterwards, when everybody was like, it runs like dog shit, and I was like, I didn't have this, guys. Like I had some bugs. Like there were like most big games, there are bugs. Like
it happens, doesn't it?
Not everything. Yeah, and not everything has that Sony first party polish. Do you know what I mean? Of like, here's a massive open world, but we've ironed the kinks out of it to the nth degree. Like, not every game has that. But yeah, I think I just got lucky with Cyberpunk. But again, like Al said, you can't get better comeback than it's really, really shit, and now everybody, like, universally, it's acclaimed. Like they've forgotten, everyone's forgotten. Like CD Projekt Red have got Witcher 6 come in, and everyone's just like, it's gonna be amazing. And I know they've carried the goodwill of The Witcher. Like, that's carried CD Projekt Red a long way, the goodwill from The Witcher 3. But then The Witcher 3 is also a game that was just shockingly buggy, and no one cared. Like, no one cared how buggy that game was. They just laughed.
They'll do it again.
Yeah,
they will. You know, when you used to get roach stuck on the side of buildings and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was just like, CD Projekt Red, you silly sausages. And then when Cyberpunk 2077 did it, they were like, this is the worst thing ever. And it's weird. Only 2 more on the list now. One of them is, so I'll talk really briefly about one, and then I think Kieran's going to have to fill us in on the last one. So Diablo 3 at launch was another instance of not a lot of content, and it had that real money auction house.
The auction house, yeah.
That has to go down as one of like the worst ideas. Like, someone at Blizzard probably got sacked for that, or was at least off the Christmas mailing list, because it was such a bad idea, and it upset so many people to such a degree. It was like, what are you even thinking? No, I don't want to spend real money on an in-game sword. Like, what are you even doing? And it was weird, because that was what everyone hated. And once they changed that, the turnaround was almost immediate. Like, I know that eventually they added adventure mode, which is something that, like, they've carried on into like Diablo 4, and other games have that now. But that they added a lot. Like, Reaper of Souls massively added a lot to Diablo 3. Not just the classes, but the new classes were always like, Diablo doesn't get, in my opinion, and I know people argue this, but in my opinion, Diablo doesn't really get the gameplay wrong usually. Like, not the base gameplay. Like, fair enough, sometimes they launch, there's not enough content and people complain. They do silly things like the auction house. Generally speaking, the gameplay in a Diablo game is always pretty solid. Like, they know what they're doing at this point, even with balancing for the campaign stuff. Like, the early stages of the game, when you're not into end game yet and you're not doing the silly numbers, the balancing is like, Blizzard know what they're doing with these games now. But yeah, that was just a stupid idea. Like, and it really turned people off that game. Like, it really upset a lot of people.
And at that point, it felt like Blizzard could sort of do no wrong, and then that was a big moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. And it was such a shockingly tone-deaf idea, because people had already started to. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a point where people have been happy with microtransactions. I know that we've kind of come to accept them, and games get around them now by going, well, it's only cosmetics now. Like, nearly every game that sells microtransactions is doing it on cosmetics, because they can always play the card of, well, they're optional. You don't have, the whole fucking game's optional, but like, you don't have to buy the microtransactions. They make it so you don't have to anymore. But when you put like an auction house in there where it's like, spend your real money, it's like shark cards in GTA, you know, it's like it's just like they're an accepted thing in the games. If you open a game now and there's a little tab somewhere on the profile that says store, you either ignore it or you get currency in the game and go, well, I've got some of that currency, so okay, I'll have a look.
And then you realize that you could maybe buy like a quarter of a sock.
Yeah, they tend to do that a lot. What was the game that does that the worst at the moment? I think it's something like the I can't remember what it's called now. Last Descendant, shocking for that. Like, they just added non-stop tits and ass costumes. Like, that's what they did. They just gave every female character 60 different bikini or uniform or animal tail fucking costumes, and they all cost about 25 quid. So when you go in the game and there's a guy running around in a 25 quid bunny outfit because it lets one of the characters have their ass out, you know what that guy's about. Like, you haven't unlocked that in the game. That hasn't been gifted to you. You've gone into a store and you've picked that costume, and you have zero shame in what you're like. I don't know. Anyway,
it's a badge of honor.
I don't know what it is. I mean, that game's all ass anyway. It's like Stellar Blade, but I mean, that goes to another level with its microtransactions. But anyway, that's not the subject. So the last one on the list is Fallout 76, because this is a game that I've not played since it was shit. I played it, I reviewed it, I scored it about 5, because when it launched, it wasn't necessarily like I couldn't list 3 good things about it at launch. Like, I really didn't like it. The only thing I could say was I really liked Fallout at the time, and it was more Fallout. But it was only just more Fallout.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, the MMO stuff was almost non-existent. There was nobody was playing it at launch for a start, and other things were just wrong. Like, because it was online only, you couldn't use VATs. Like, all like those things that made Fallout basically what Fallout is. There was nobody in it. There were no NPCs. Everything was just like a tape recorder or something that you could find. Like, it was an empty, barren, lifeless, soulless husk of a Fallout game. And apparently it's not now, but I don't know, because I've not played it since, I don't know, 2 days after launch.
I mean, I've not played loads, but I played it after the first big update. I can't think of what it was called. But it was when they added in NPCs, and
it's so funny, the idea of
I know,
like NPCs
in a Fallout game.
Wow,
this is what you wanted. We hear you.
Yeah, it added NPCs. It added like I think there was like robots that would like give you lore and missions, but then also actual people. And I think they made it more. They improved like the MMO-ness, I guess, of it. So you would see people wandering around the wasteland. You could sort of they'd added like little objectives that you could come together dynamically and complete together. Yeah, I only played it for like a week or two, but I had multiple points where I went and did some of those objectives, and the people that were playing were like way higher level than me, and they would afterwards drop me stuff, and I'd end up with like a load of cool stuff that I'd not seen before, because the people in the game had quite a nice community. I think it always had quite a nice community, and it sounds like they've been rewarded by sticking with the game, and it's now significantly better. But it was basically just like, when I played it, it just felt like a pretty decent multiplayer Fallout game. Like you said, VATs didn't work the same way. You could still target stuff, couldn't you? But it just it didn't slow down time, but you still use it. And then you could play with more people. The world was quite cool. Like it sort of took that that visual style of Fallout 4 and sort of expanded on it. And it was quite an interesting, like quite a cool world to explore. And I just thought it was like, I was quite surprised, because I think I'd heard so many people talk shit about it, and it did look shit from what I'd seen. But by the time I got to it, I was like, pleasantly surprised.
Fair enough. I mean, it always felt at odds to me. Fallout felt at odds with the MMO style. Like, people were like, "Oh, it's a no-brainer because there's all these vaults," but there weren't. Like, if you play Fallout, like New Vegas, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, like every other vault is fucked. Like, most of them were weird government experiments. Like, there's not that many vaults. Even in the TV series, it's not like there's not that many vaults where people are normal.
No,
and like, she goes out into the world and she's not running into, like, you're not. And I don't know if you've seen the Fallout show, but it's fucking brilliant. Like, it's a really, really good. It's to me, it's exactly how you do an adaptation of a video game. You take the entire world and you don't leave anything out, and then you make new stories in it. And that's what the Fallout TV show is, and it's just so well done. Like, it has its missteps, but it's almost pitch perfect how you would want a Fallout TV show to be. But that world was a very singular world. Like, you are a lone wanderer. Like, everything you encounter it like no one else has ever encountered it. That's what Fallout always felt like to me. That's why I love Fallout. That's why I love Fallout 3, New Vegas, Fallout 4. Because you go into the world and everyone looks at you like they all know what the vaults are. They know who Vault like they know who vault dwellers are, but there's not hundreds of you. You're an anomaly in the world, and like you're learning about everything. Then you play something like Fallout 76 and there's 5,000 of you fucking running around shooting mud crabs and whatever, and it's like
all from the same vault as well.
Yeah, and it just doesn't really, it for me it was just a misstep, and it was like, we don't need this. Like I get Bethesda had done well with the Elder Scrolls Online, which I believe I've read or heard is like ramping down now because they've laid off a lot of the core staff. So I don't know how much longer that will last. I mean, because I don't think like Elder Scrolls Online does crazy numbers, but the people it's had for a long time, and they're very core like Warcraft players, like it's and Guild War players. Like it doesn't bring new people in, but the people that are there are like stalwarts. But I know that they're ramping, like it's another one of Xbox's casualties that they're trimming the fat of those guys as well. So I don't know how long that'll last, but that was like they had that, and I think they wanted another that. They wanted something else that was going to spin money forever, and it was like, well, what other worlds have we got that we can just because
we've got one other.
Yeah, we've got one other world because and well, until Starfield, which that was gonna change the landscape of gaming. Yeah, change the landscape of gaming like it changes the landscape of your fucking street when someone parks an old Skoda there. Like, but it was. But I feel like these companies, like they chase these dreams of this never-ending thing, and like I don't think anyone ever knows they've got one of these hits on their hands. I firmly believe that Ark Raiders, the guys who made Ark Raiders, put it out there and were like, please sell, please someone play this, please someone play, and they did. And then you get people like Sony with like Concord or Highguard that are like, fucking this, and everyone's like, we don't need that because we've already got this, and that's just this but not as good. And like they keep doing these things, and it's just like, I don't know, there's another podcast and I could rant for hours about.
Well, we've got a topic for next time. We're not having any games to talk about. Don't you worry, everyone. We'll get Mick and his old Skoda analogies back to bitch about Xbox.
It's not just Xbox. They all do it. Like not all do it. Xbox and Sony particularly because everyone's chasing the forever game, aren't they? And like this is like a lot of these games on this list are examples of that in a way. Like Destiny, Fallout 76, Sea of Thieves, Battlefront 2, Breakpoint, Diablo 3. These are all games that No Man's Sky. These were all games that launched into, and they were planning to launch into their own ecosystem and become somebody's next World of Warcraft, somebody's next Sims 4. Do you know what I mean? It was going to be, this is the game you're going to play forever. We've got you now. Your next Fortnite, where we're just going to keep bringing a Dead by Daylight. These things that launch, and I don't think anybody at the time when they launch knows, but what the difference is, they launch with something that just naturally grabs people, and it's not necessarily like Fortnite launched with we spoke about Fortnite before this pod started, but that's an example in a way of this, because Save the World launched and no one really cared like what is now the Save the World mode. Like I reviewed Save the World and I gave it like a 7, and it was like, this is quite fun. You kill zombies, you go out and scavenge in the day, and then you build a fort at night, which is why it was called Fortnite, that no one remembers. But like, that was what it was. You build a fort for the night, because at night zombies come, and then you repel the zombies like a tower defense game. Then in the daytime, you go back out and you scavenge goods again, and you go to a new area in the battle bus and all this stuff. And then they launched everybody was like, this is a bit, it's interesting, but what's it doing? It's not doing anything. And then they were like, oh, we're just adding this battle royale mode because PUBG's big at the moment, and we could probably do this with the engine we've got. And then like now, who's PUBG? Who the fuck is PUBG anymore? Because it's just Fortnite, and everybody who's tried battle royale since then has struggled because they haven't got that thing. And I don't know. It's just, you either have the sauce or you don't have the sauce at launch. And then sometimes You can
sometimes
get the
you're allowed
source.
to come back.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not.
sometimes you have no source, but you get the source, and sometimes you don't get the source, and sometimes you don't need the source, and sometimes the source is
Sauce.
snot, and you don't want that on your chips. Anyway, that's the source analogy.
and that is the end of a great podcast.
So we'll call it there because we're gonna. I just, you know what? I'll just start on tangents forever. But yeah, so that was the episode mostly about comebacks.
Yeah.
Except the end when we got upset about. Well, I got upset about the rampant consumerism destroying the games industry. But until next week, we're gonna go and record. We're going to go and record another podcast. I'm loath to call it bonus now because it may not be the bonus. I don't know. Adam's going to do something with it, but we're going to record another podcast straight after this one. And this one is, we're going to talk about, I don't know, like, I'm not even going to say we're going to talk about because I can't explain it because I don't understand it. Watch the podcast. So if you want to see what we're going to do next, it's going to be live for the Patreons first, regardless of what we ultimately do with it. It will be live for the patrons before it's live for anybody else. It's apparently going to be fun, I assure you.
No pressure.
No pressure. But yeah, if you want to see that, that's what we're going to go and do now, because we always do a bonus pod for the patrons, which goes live on a Wednesday only for the patrons, and then the main pod goes live on a Monday, but it goes live early for the patrons. So and then there's a Discord if you want to be involved, if you want to jump in, and you can get involved in. So it's a fantasy critics league is what we're going to be discussing in the next pod, and you can be a part of it in our Discord if you join the Discord. And if you want to join the Discord, you've got to join the Patreon. So, and it's all kinds. Yeah, we got a lot. There's a lot of stuff goes on in our Discord actually. Considering it's not got a huge amount of members, it's quite active like all the time. There's a lot of channels in there. There's channels specifically for certain games and certain topics. It's very active, and it's a really, I want to say it's a really pleasant community, but some of them are arseholes. They know they are.
It's all part of the charm, isn't it? There are arseholes.
There are arseholes, and you know they're very welcoming arseholes. So yeah, it's worth checking out. But in the meantime, we're going to go and do that. So I've been Mick Fraser. He's been Lyle Pendle. He's been Kieran Singh. Steve Chambers has been in Toronto, and you guys have been lovely. Bye.